The Formula Renault Eurocup is at Spa-Francorchamps this weekend, and we are getting set for qualifying 2 that will determine the grid for race 1 of the weekend. And yesterday on a dry circuit, it was an interesting session where some of the teams tried to perhaps eke out just the tyre life on one set, one run, rather than do a time, change, do another time. And ultimately it was the championship leader Victor Martins who went fastest. It's a short, sharp session this. It's only 20 minutes long, and the cars will be making their way out shortly onto the circuit. It is a damp rather than wet road. A lot of overnight rain. We have had a bit of running this morning. Already out on the track have been the TCR cars and the Super Trofeo Lamborghini entry. So some of the water has been dissipated, but as you see, wet Hancooks virtually all the way up the pit lane. And in 20 minutes, given the temperatures here, I can't really see the road drying out sufficiently for anybody to really gamble on a slick tyre before the end. David Addison trackside, and Victor Martins the man to beat, not only because he was fastest in the session yesterday, but also because he is the championship leader, 16 points up on Caio Collet, who comes here as the surviving member of the two of them in the Renault Sport Academy. And their number 1 is Caio Collet's car. Victor Martins relieved of his Renault Sport Academy status, and in the ultimate two-fingered manner, now leading the championship, beating the one that Renault kept, in other words Caio Collet. So Victor Martins with a real point to prove, and he'll be looking forward to seeing whether he can get 2 pole positions out of the weekend. He has been the driver not to beat, because it's had a mix of winners this year. Caio Collet, for example, has had 2 wins. Franco Colapinto has had 1 victory. Victor Martins now is on 5 wins, and David Vidales took 2 at Imola. Very impressive weekend that, because it was his first weekend in the championship. It was his first weekend in car racing, no less. So now the cars making their way out onto the circuit. It is, as you see, a damp, a greasy road, and knowing Spa, it'll be wetter in certain parts than others. You're going to lose probably the best part of 6 minutes, really, before we get a proper flying lap time, and it'll be the end of the session where the road is at its driest, where the times are going to come. So you need to be out there, you need to be getting warmth into the tyres, but don't expect instant gun times. It will get faster and faster and faster, and it could be one of those sessions where, assuming we get no more rain, the last man across the line ends up on pole position. Now, yesterday, perhaps inevitably, one of the key talking points was the cancellation of lap times, and Thomas Shetner Jr., who is the race director, had something like a dozen drivers to cancel lap times from. Now, out of 18 cars, that's a fair old number, but track limits is an issue here, partly, certainly for GT cars, it's at Raidillon. For Formula Renault cars, it seems to be coming out of the bus stop, where they are pushing on, so not taking the tighter line, using all of the road, and therefore maintaining the momentum. Now, in GT terms, that's not a big issue, because they're going further, they're actually lengthening the lap and penalising themselves. But in a Formula Renault car, that's one of the key areas. Blanchiment also has been an area, the exit of that, and the Speaker's Corner here, people are pushing on. Now, one of the reasons that track limits is more prevalent as a problem this year is that the AstroTurf that used to be behind the curb has gone, so you've got that deterrent removed, and people are pushing harder, and therefore they are going over the curb onto that runoff tarmac. The little penalty, as it were, of the AstroTurf ain't there anymore. Another reason perhaps that track limits is being discussed, and it's certain corners only, is that inevitably, due to the restrictions thanks to COVID-19, there are fewer officials allowed on site, therefore there are fewer people in race control, therefore it is harder to police. So if you can't police it, don't police it. Concentrate on one problematic corner. There is Blanchiment, cars stepping over the curb. Now, you've got to say that in these conditions, if you're prepared to hang it out and go over the curb like that, you're a better man than most, because that's a quick corner, and you've seen before, no doubt, get onto a wet, slippy, painted curb, you could be in all sorts of strife. So if you're brave enough to do it, then good luck to you. But most people will steer away from them in these conditions, at least. So Caio Collet, you've been looking at number 1. He goes over the timing line to start a flying lap now. So in the dry, yesterday, we got them down to the 2:16s. Victor Martins pole position, 2 minutes 16.319. And there is 91, which is Paul Aron, the younger brother of former FIA Formula 3 front runner Ralph Aron. the Estonian family, and Paul Aron could be one to watch, I think, over the course of the session here, if he manages to find a little bit more pace. Victor Martins then, 8th pole of the season. This could be his 9th, let's see. And he comes now, bearing in mind that Q2 is for race 1, Q1 is for race 2, you switch them around. He will be one to watch in the session. 92 Victor Martins has done an absolute best in the middle sector, and he's 8/10ths up to that point on Kai O'Connor, running deep there into Bruxelles, trying to find the extra grip on the outside line. Victor Martins took a while to start winning this year. It was the 5th race at the Nürburgring before he won. Backed it up with a win the following day. He then had 1 win at Magny-Cours, 1 win at Zandvoort, and won both at Barcelona last time out. Next stop for the championship is going to be at the Imola circuit. And that's going to be a support race to the Grand Prix, and it's clearly a race they're all very, very keen to win. So right now, though, concentrate on Spa, concentrate on a wet road. You can see the lines are different, as hunting for the grippier part is Victor Martins. He has also managed, as you can see, to get himself clear real estate here. There's nobody around him to get in the way. He's way up the curb, finds the grip the other side of it on that bit of tarmac. 2 absolute bests here. So Victor Martins comes out of the Cours Paul Frere. And now the run into Blanchimont. So speed builds at this point, turns his way through that fast left-hander, and then down towards the bus stop. This will be the best time, with everybody else doing greens in the sector as personal bests on their first flying lap, but not the absolute best. So Victor Martins for the ART Grand Prix team hits the brakes, goes down through the gears, turns right, being gentle to get the power down without too much wheel spin being generated. Comes now up towards the line. As I say, the road is greasy rather than wet, but that's the fastest time of the session. It is a 2:38.047, a long way off the best time of yesterday, 2:16 in the dry. But Victor Martins cares not. He is the fastest from his teammate Paul Aron. And then Kai O'Connor goes 3rd fastest, change that 4th because David Vidales, the Spanish driver, goes 2nd, 2 minutes 40.447. So it's Martins, Vidales, Aron, Collet. That changes because Hadrien David, now the other member of Renault Sports Academy in the championship, goes 2nd fastest, the French F4 champion of last year, up to 2nd, 2 minutes 40.230. So times shuffling. We haven't yet, he says, finding wood to touch, got any dramas about track limits. It might be that in these conditions there's an element of restraint being put in as people are being more cautious. But however, come what may, it is Victor Martins faster by 2 seconds, and that gives you an idea that certain parts are wetter than others, and especially when you get everybody together, you can see how the spray hangs in the air. The forecast for today is not great, must be said, and the fear is that there's going to be quite a lot of wet running towards the end of the day. Now, these cars do race today, but that's at 2. Weather could be better, weather could be worse by then, who knows. They're hustling the car out of Les Combes, the MP Motorsport entry of Hadrien David, and he is 2nd fastest at the moment, but you see the effort being put in. Still the tyres needing to get up to temperature. Still pretty chilly out there. Drop down the hill now, out to Bruxelles, heading towards Speaker's Corner. So called because it was the only other corner apart from Montrouge that the speakers, the track commentators, could see from the old commentary box that was opposite the endurance pits. But if you looked out into the distance, you could see the cars going through that corner, and it therefore became known as the commentators, the speakers' corner. So through Pouhon comes Hadrien David. Victor Martins, incidentally, has gone faster yet again in sector 1. So with 12.5 minutes on the clock still, Victor Martins the fastest. He's done 2 absolute bests. Hadrien David, he's upping his pace, as you can see, with greens, personal bests in sectors, but that doesn't help in the battle now to get onto terms with the current pole-sitting car in the hands of Victor Martins. It is Vidales 3rd from Aron Collet and Gregoire Saucy 6th. Franco Colapinto, who won the opening race at Monza but hasn't had a win since, he is 7th ahead of Amaury Cordil. Petr Potacek is 9th. And now we get the track limit dramas. Number 52, Nicola Marinangeli. The lap that he's on will not count. Track limits at turn 9, and turn 9 is Speaker's Corner. Big slide there from Hadrien David as he comes towards us. So the time he's trying to improve upon is a 2 minutes 40, which is his own. A 2:37 is Victor Martins' new best lap, so the margin was over 3 seconds. It's now down to 1.6 as Paul Aron goes 2nd. as Gregoire Saucy goes third, as Kyle Collett goes fourth. Where is David going to be as he comes up towards the timing line then? He goes fourth, 2 minutes 39.071. And there through is 27, Hugo de Wilde at his home circuit, the Belgian driver. He's up to second fastest, in fact, for Arden. 2 minutes 37.679. Hugo de Wilde, whose father, Olivier, is a busy PR journalist in Belgium and splits his time between beavering away in the press room this weekend and indeed being a racing dad. Now Kyle Collett loses a lap time. So number one, Kyle Collett, personal best sector 1, loses the lap for track limits, and that's at turn 4, which is coming up through Radion, Alabo Rouge up through Radion, which again is a part of the circuit that lots of people are cutting. So it is Martins, de Wilde, Colapinto, Aaron, David, then Kaz Habercourt from Gregoire Saucy. Kaz Habercourt for MP Motorsport, the Dutchman that joined in the championship only a meeting ago, actually, at Barcelona, but showing good pace here. There is de Wilde, and he's got some traffic around him, look, as they head down the hill. So Hugo de Wilde into Speaker's Corner, runs it up over the curb, sets off down the hill. Through Pouon, and looking at sectors, Victor Martins is going to go faster again. He's already on pole. We're into the second half of the session now, just under 10 minutes to go. And a 2:37.2 last time. In the end, only 0.386 of a second up on Hugo de Wilde. Can he go faster still on this next lap? Let's see. More and more good sectors being posted. It has the makings of this, of being a jumbled grid. William Alatallo, by the way, number 38. Now, he's been a front runner on occasions this year. Alatallo, but he's a long way back at the moment. He's had a third and a second, Alatallo, but he's only 15th and 17 in the times. Now, if there are 17, who is missing? Because we should have 18 drivers out on track. Down to the bus stop comes the hard-charging de Wilde. Victor Martins does go quicker still, 2 minutes 36.290. So Victor Martins improving. What about Hugo de Wilde? Stays second. Lorenzo Colombo looks like he's the one that's not gone out for the Vitek team, and he was 9th yesterday. So Lorenzo Colombo, I can't see on the times. He, for whatever reason, is the man that's missing. Now, it could be that he's going to roll the dice and wait to the very, very end of the session when it's drier. But you've got to be out there now, I would have thought, getting the warmth into the tyres. So he's not shown as being in the pit lane either, which is a little bit concerning. 8 minutes are on the clock. 38, William Alatallo, and he was a possible improver. He did improve up to 10th on his last lap, 2 minutes 39.233. Hugo de Wilde is the man behind him. And Victor Martins, who's just been remorseless in this session, has done yet another absolute best in Sector 1. So he's now done a 2:36.290. The ART Grand Prix car. There is the sister car, number 93 of Gregoire Saucy, who has been there or thereabouts this year. He's 8th currently in the times. The best we've had out of Gregoire Saucy was a 3rd at the Nürburgring in the second race there. And 91 is Paul Aaron, the other ART entry, and he is 5th in the times currently. Alex Quinn's an improver, by the way, up to 3rd, the British driver, and another lap time taken away from, who is that? Amaury Cordial, number 71, and that's for Radion track limits. So there, up to the bus stop comes Victor Martins. It's a rare lap, this, because it's got something other than a purple on it. He's down slightly by 3/10 within the middle sector, but he's still hanging on to pole position. 6 3/4 minutes to go. but in a sense he's not done yet, even though it's been a stellar session, and he does go quicker still. 2:36.290 becomes a 2:36.3, sorry, on his next lap. Time's late coming up on our timing display. 2:36.3, a tenth down. He still needs to be out there just in case anybody else does go quicker. So maybe it's time to go for the wet part of the road, cool the tyres for a lap or two, but be out there and respond if needs be. The next track limit abuser is Rached de Gerus, who is 13th, and his time is about to be removed, so there's no improvement. So it's Martins, De Wilde, Quinn, David, Aaron, Colapinto, Cordial, and that then changes. Carlos Habercourt goes up to fourth fastest now on a 2:38.004. This is the run up towards Les Combes. This, I think, is probably the wettest part, although the fact that you've got lots of people running together there, generating some spray, doesn't really help the image, does it? That's the MP Motorsport car, Dutch team, Dutch driver, Cas Habercourt, one of the rookies, joined in that part of the championship for the Barcelona races. Fascinating fact, 37, is that there's only one driver thus far without a track limit warning to his name, and that is Franco Colapinto. So everybody else has had a warning. Some people have had lap times removed, others are just on track limit warnings. Victor Martins, interestingly, more than anybody, he's the man on pole position, but he's had 4 warnings according to the column that's now on the timing screen. Big slide for Cas Habercourt, but he's pressing on here. Down in the first sector though. Now Colapinto, having just touched on his good behaviour, he has now done the absolute best sector 1. So Franco Colapinto, 7th in the times, hustling on. However, Martins has done a personal and an absolute best sectors 1 and 2 now. This second qualifying session starting to offer up a very interesting grid with Martins, De Wilde, Quinn and Habercourt at the front of it. That's Franco Colapinto in the traffic. The MP Motorsport car now turning its way up through Blanchimont, but looking as though the other car around him is getting in the way slightly. Colapinto does go through there and brakes now for the bus stop. Another of the many cars here from a Dutch team benefiting from David Hart's DHG Group sponsorship. The Formula GT now historic racer. Right, so over the timing line goes Colapinto up to 3rd fastest, 2:36.993. Victor Martins went quicker still, got himself into the 2:35s, 2:35.8. So he's nearly a second quicker than anybody else now. 9/10 is the margin between Victor Martins and anybody else in the session. Three minutes still to run. So Colapinto the last improver, and still no sign of Lorenzo Colombo. The Bitec entry hasn't gone out. That's Colapinto heading the charge up towards Les Combes. One driver that does need to get on with the programme here is Caio Collet. The Brazilian driver is only 11th in the times, and he's not improving on this lap either. So Caio Collet, who starts the other race, 3rd on the grid, and he's going to be way back here, possibly onto his worst qualifying of the season unless he can salvage something. Colapinto goes deep into Bruxelles, goes off the road indeed, so deep does he go. So that's going to squander this lap up to a degree. Meantime, the field pouring downhill here. You can see Caio Collet making the run into the fast left of Pouhon. Behind him on the road, 93, that's Gregoire Saucy, and as they come now towards the completion of this lap, Collet is going to be able to squeeze one more out of it, but no more than that, and this one doesn't look sparkling, so he is in danger of running out of time here in order to be able to improve. And interestingly, we're not getting constant improvements in the sectors. I was thinking early on that it was going to be right at the very end that the best times came. However, right now, people aren't necessarily improving sector by sector by sector. You can see Kaio Collet is on a slower lap here. Road's still wet in certain parts. This is one of the wetter sections into Blanchimont. Victor Martin's the fastest. Even he is on a slow lap at the moment relative to his own pace, having lost a few tenths sector by sector by sector. Now what about Kaio Collet? This is not going to be an improvement. Is there going to be anything left in the tank, in the tyres, for him to be able to have a go coming onto his last lap of the session? Because now, as he pulls the trigger coming out of the bus stop, there's less than a lap time left in the session. He goes through with just over a minute on the clock, up to third. Franco Colapinto, I think I mentioned, he's now gone up to second, Franco Colapinto, so improving lap by lap by lap. Kaio Collet goes through that last lap at 2:38.5, so he did improve in the last sector, which was just enough to ease him up the order slightly, but not really by much. So Collet is still 11. It's going to make for a good race if he starts there. Interesting to see what progress can be made. This is Colapinto wriggling his way up through a Rouge and Radion. If you cut that too dramatically, then it'll be another track limit warning. All the evidence is there, partly the pictures, partly from the officials, because there are judges of fact positions at Radion, and that is their main task, to make sure that people aren't going the wrong side of that line. Now Colapinto on the last lap of the session here, look, is upping his pace nicely, because he has now done the absolute best first sector. The flag is out, so everybody this time will come pouring over the timing line, and let us see what that is going to do to the order. But Colapinto right now is starting well. Where is Martins on the road? He is on his own, heading down towards the Cours Paul Frag. He's going out of the pith path. So you're looking at Colapinto. Martins is ahead of him on the track, but not responding. So Martins either can't or doesn't feel he needs to respond. But out of nowhere, Franco Colapinto is pushing on. But the problem, there it is traffic. 2 cars ahead of the Argentine driver now. So Franco Colapinto looks as though this might unravel because of the traffic around him, which would be a real shame. It's one of the ART cars as well, teammate to Martins, Gregoire Saucy, I think that is, number 93, just up the road. So is Franco Colapinto going to be impeded? Let us see as the cars now then accelerate up to Blanchimont. Yes, he's down in that middle sector, and so just when he did not need it, he has found traffic, seemingly. Franco Colapinto second on the grid for the other race out of the first session. Number 21 is having a lap time taken away, that being Reste de Geras. Down to the bus stop they come, flag is out. Victor Martins went quicker than anybody in the last sector, didn't improve his lap time, missed out by 44 hundredths of a second. Here is Colapinto up to the flag, but I fear the traffic has done for him, and let's see what he can do. It was an absolute best down in the middle, and the end of the lap keeps him second. Yeah, he lost out in the last sector, so half a second down on his best, but it was a good effort by Franco Colapinto. Didn't give up, did he, all the way around that lap, kept pushing. So Victor Martins it is who ends as the fastest. There he is, down the pit lane. And Victor Martins takes pole position once more. So he's now looking at 9 pole positions over the course of the qualifying sessions. And that session for our race 1 grid coming up a little bit later on in the day here from Spa. Cars due on track just after 20 past 2. Here to take the flag is Nicola Marinangeli, Laszlo Toth, and there's also Reste de Geras to go. Kaio Collet ending the session 11th fastest, so not happy, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do come the race, as there the cars are held at the end of the pit lane before they move into the paddock, back to the teams. And we'll look forward, as I say, to their first race coming up this afternoon. 1 today, 1 tomorrow. As ever, the Total 24 Hours of Spa timetable, very busy indeed, with a raft of support races. So let's have a quick look at the order then, provisionally, depending on any investigations that might need to happen. And Victor Martin's the fastest, with, right on his last lap, Hugo de Wilde going second as he crossed the line. So half a second between them, but Hugo de Wilde, the Belgian driver, on the front row of the grid. That'll be a good local result. Franco Colapinto ends up third. Alex Quinn fourth, ahead of Paul Aron and Amaury Cordeel. Kaz Havercourt seventh. Then it's Gregoire Saucy, Adrien David, and to round out the top 10, Rached de Geras. Caio Collet then, only 11th, a man that's second in the championship from Tymon van der Helm. A long way back, the JD cars, William Alatallo and David Vidales. From Petr Potacek, 15th, Laszlo Toth and Nicola Marinangeli, who rounds out the order. So that is how Spa looks. A strange looking Spa, really. The paddock operating almost as normal, face masks on, the teams busily working away, but look to the perimeter of the circuit, the usual colour, the usual hubbub of the Total spending 24 hours of Spa is not there. No fans allowed in, but everybody just delighted they can be on track and going racing. Victor Martins, the dominant man in the session, and managed to early set a target time. He went quicker and quicker and quicker. Championship rival Caio Collet never getting anywhere near him. Hugo de Wilde yo-yoed from second to third to second again by the end, just displacing Franco Colapinto on that last lap. Colapinto himself was looking quick, but on his last lap got stuck in traffic, and that rather did for him. So, racing coming up at 2:20 this afternoon from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. We look forward to your company. For now, though, from David Addison, it's goodbye.